Kind of wish I'd waited till done this before the video. I've come to understand that the most precious things do not last forever. Every beloved moment, every significant event is only temporary. Some last for only minutes, whereas others may last for as long as a month shy of 92 years. But through every beloved thing is temporary, a memory is forever. It's permanent. Grandma may no longer be with us, but she's still forever. Not only in her place in heaven beside Grandpa Andy, but in our hearts and our memories as well. She's immortalized by the legacy of family and friends she leaves behind. I know we've all said to each other repeatedly it's sad to see each other under these circumstances, but look to your left, your right, all around you, and you plainly see that the number of people here are already a small testament to what an amazing, wonderful, generous, devoted, loving, and beautiful human being my grandma was. I knew intuitively as a small child that she was indescribably kind. After all, anyone who could eat that many pancakes was probably But I grew up to appreciate her even more, because not only did I better get to know her as I grew up, but because seeing her age was a constant, steady reminder to cherish her, because I knew she would not physically be here forever. As of now, I'm 25, and that's really not a long time, but thankfully it was more than enough for her to share with me some of the most cherished memories I have, and some of the most important influence I've received throughout my life. It would take a lifetime to explain every single, even just a fraction of every little facet and thing that made Grandma Mary mean the world to me. So instead, I'd like to share a quick story from her life that always had a huge influence on me. As a young girl, as most of you know, Grandma Mary spent several years growing up in an Irish convent in the Philippines. This was in the midst of World War II, and at the time the area was heavily occupied by Japanese militia. I remember her telling me that on one occasion, the nuns that managed the convent had all the girls, including herself, participate in preparing a meal for a local platoon of these Japanese soldiers, which they demanded of them. After finishing their meal, the Japanese commanding officer spoke with some of the older sisters and explained to them that they were originally under orders to kill everyone in the convent. But they had decided that the meal was beyond satisfactory and therefore elected to show the convent mercy. They left shortly after without having harmed anyone. She first told me the story when I was about 14, and up until that point I never have imagined. To think she'd been placed so close to a potential and violent war atrocity, only to eventually arrive in America and become the most kind-hearted, forgiving, loving, smiling person I've ever known. I just didn't know at the time how to process that. Now I know what to do with that knowledge, and that is to always respect her memory by following her example. To walk this earth and, in spite of anything, always be as loving and golden-hearted as she was. Of course, we're here to mourn the loss of someone we loved dearly, but remember that the greatest gesture we can pay to her is to celebrate the beauty of her life and legacy. To celebrate that she's come to reside in the only place that she's ever deserved, and that is heaven. Grandma, I love you so much, and thank you for everything you've done for me and for all of us here. I miss you more than I can describe, but I'm beyond happy to know you're free of pain and anguish that someone like you should never have experienced. It's going to be a heartbreaking wait, but it will be worth it to see you again whole and happy. I love you, Grandma. Thank you.
Hi there. For those of you who don't know, I'm Michelle. I'm Mary's granddaughter. I was given by my Auntie Yvonne today a speech by Laura, so I'm too afraid to read it, so I'm just going to talk first before, because I haven't read it yet, so I don't know what emotions it will evoke. But as long as I remembered, and I know this is going to sound insulting, I hated my last name. Klingler sounds so silly, and I was like, I've gotten every nickname from Star Trek Klingon to Stage 5 Klinger, you know, like, so that does not go along with dating. So all these things have been so toxic. Oh yeah, the big one for the kids was Pokemon. There was a Pokemon with a similar name. So it just has never gone away, this constant teasing of this simple last name. And I started thinking about names a lot lately, and just why people are given the name. And I started seeing a pattern. My Auntie Nay has the name Marie, a derivative of Mary. My sister has that, my mother has that, all as a common middle name. And I just thought it was so beautiful that they all shared this piece, even if they weren't necessarily named for her. So I don't know everyone in this room, but I guarantee if my grandma knew you, she knew your name, she would pray for you. Everyone was bringing it up, but I once asked her, because she would go to bed very early, and I said, how long does it take you to pray? This was a young Michelle asking her a question. She goes, 2.5 hours. And I was like, why are you doing that every day? She goes, someone has to. So every day she would just take out a book and read. She told me she was praying for the girls on my soccer team when I was soccer. I'm like, you don't know them, but they were blessed, and she knows your name. So as much as I don't know them, and I apologize because I missed a lot of events, but my grandma knows them, and you were loved and definitely cared for. And I always thought to my grandma, and you hear it over and over again, that she was a saintly woman, that she could do no wrong. And I kept thinking, I'm like, there must be something. She's human, right? And I thought over and over again, what is the one thing she's told me that she did? And then I think back to the rabbit test, and which I never told her was not a thing, like that all rabbits are killed during this test, but because she had 4 children, she kept going, I killed 4 bunnies. And so she's slightly a murderer. That's the only sin I could think of her. Those are the only sins I could think of for her. And then last night I thought to myself, what does Mary really mean? I know what she means to me, and I know what she means to you, and I look around this room and this video and I see all the love that comes out. And besides the obviously biblical reference she has, Mary in the Egyptian language translated as love. And when I read that last night, I was like, could there be a better name for such a woman? And so with this, and with seeing all of you and seeing the process of everyone taking care of my grandma the past few years and all the love that went into it, I am proud to be a Klingler, even if it's going to be a silly name.
For a lot of you who don't know the history of the Hampton and Klingler family, long before Dan and Yvonne got married, Uncle Annie and Auntie Mary were by a who and aunt. I've known them longer than their own children. And before Andy Jr. was born, Auntie Mary would always ask me to come over and spend time with Yvonne. So I really do feel like I was one of her daughters. Renee said it, but Auntie Mary was really the original Beaver's mom. And she was a great cook. She would pick me up from school so I could go to the house and play with Yvonne. I'm trying to compose myself. I didn't think I was going to get so hysterical. At Uncle Andy's memorial, I said I'll never forget Uncle Andy because of his eggs on toast, but we have to remember who cooked it. And that was Auntie Mary. She always had a smile on her face, always. And for whatever reason, she always wanted me to be there for Yvonne, but I really felt that she really had a special touch in her heart for me. And maybe I'm just dreaming that, but I know that I had a special relationship with Auntie Mary and Uncle Andy. And I'm going to miss her terribly. But I am also so happy because I know that the love of her life is Uncle Andy, and they're finally together again. and that should make us all happy. I really thought I was going to say something great, but I'm going to miss her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jimmy Boy. Uncle Andy and Auntie Mary were an integral part of my life, my family's life, growing up. I mean, just to go over their house, they'd welcome us. You know, it reminds me of takes a village. You know that expression? Where it's just not you taking care of your children. You need support and help, people who love you and surround you. And that was Uncle Andy and Auntie Mary. And Auntie Mary was a steadfast one. She was there that, always there, as I said, with a smile, accepting. I know their kids did appreciate it, but Auntie Mary and Uncle Andy had me babysit them every once in a while. And I'm only a couple of years older, right? But it was great because not only would I spend time with them, but they would pay me good money. So I have so many fond memories of them. My mother and father joined them. Uncle Andy knew Dad back in the Philippines, and then met Auntie Mary here, and it was family. I was related to them. That's Uncle Andy and Auntie Mary. That's the culture set, and couldn't be any closer. I mean, we're not blood related, but he was my uncle and she was my aunt. And I love her to this day, and that's all I wanted to say. I want to try to pay my respects to her and the family. And, you know, I'll always be able to recall the memories. When people leave us, I can draw back like a picture, like seeing my dad up there with them, and just hits you right there, bang. I mean, they'll always be with you. If you're a family,